Everyone already knows that the conflict has its serious roots in recent history, that it has no military solution. Everyone already knows that Ukraine's membership in NATO is impossible. Everyone already knows that Ukraine was used by the West in an attempt to weaken Russia, which failed, and for which Ukraine will apparently have to pay dearly. Dear friends, of course, we are all following the commotion surrounding the meeting between the American and Russian presidents scheduled for August 15th next week. I don't want to go back to all the ways in which smear Slovak social democracy was right in its assessment of the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. Practically in everything. Everyone already knows that the conflict has its serious roots in recent history, that it has no military solution. Everyone already knows that Ukraine's membership in NATO is impossible. Everyone already knows that Ukraine was used by the West in an attempt to weaken Russia, which failed, and for which Ukraine will apparently have to pay dearly. Do you remember the old African saying that I like to repeat so much? It doesn't matter whether the elephants are fighting or mating, the grass always suffers. No matter how the elephants' negotiations turn out on August 15th, it will be the grass that suffers, in this case, Ukraine. Ukrainian political leaders are themselves partly responsible for this situation because they allowed themselves to be enticed by the West and fully supported the unsuccessful Western strategy of trying to harm Russia by providing all possible support to Ukraine in the military conflict. It is generally known that the war could have ended as early as April 2022, just 2 months after it began. But several Western politicians physically prevented this from happening. What will happen in the coming weeks will not be pleasant. However, two things are most important. First, to agree on an immediate halt to military operations and to end the senseless killing of Slavs. And second, to ensure that other Western players do not sabotage any potential ceasefire agreement. In any case, the war will end eventually. And then you will see how all those who shouted the harshest words at the Russian Federation will rush to this vast country and compete with each other to find business opportunities. However, what I would look forward to the most are the long faces of those in the European Union who came up with all sorts of nonsense, from sanctions to stopping the import of Russian energy. I believe that this day will come very soon, and above all, I am glad that we in SMER, Slovak Social Democracy, will be able to look everyone straight in the eye regarding the war in Ukraine, because from the very beginning of this conflict we have rejected propaganda and lies and have focused on objective information and above all on peace. Let us wish the Russian and American presidents success in finding a meaningful solution.